Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. And once again, I am coming to you from the beautiful city of Naples in Italy. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jane and I'm a textile artist. And normally I live in the heart of Scotland, very near to Loch Lomond. But for this month, I am over in Italy, staying in a flat in Naples, and kind of just recalibrating my brain, doing lots of life experiments, and still working. But just taking myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, disrupting my routine, and seeing what happens. So today I want to talk to you about simplicity. But maybe first, it's kind of a simple thing. But because it's in my eye shot, I thought I would show you my bunch of flowers. Now, I had this last week. This is actually its 8th day. Now, these are flowers that I foraged from a derelict park that is about 200-300 yards in that direction, between here and the sea. And the park itself seems to be closed. It isn't being maintained, and all of these flowers are growing up at the railing. So I took along my pair of embroidery scissors and I cut myself a bunch of them. And as you can see, it has lasted beautifully. So I thought it might be worth just giving you a few tips that if you see some flowers growing on waste ground and you want to harvest them, what is the best way to get a good vase life? Because I think you'll agree, 8 days is an excellent vase life. So, number one, don't pick in the heat of the day. I went and got these in the evening, where it's a lot cooler. You could also do early morning. Second thing, when you get back to wherever you're staying, fill your vase, your water glass, with lukewarm water. So something that's not too cold. Then put the kettle on. Pour about this much of just boiled water, so really, really hot water, into a mug. And then recut the stem ends and plunge your bouquet into that very hot water. Count to 10 and then put it into the warm water in your vase. And that will vastly, vastly improve the vase life of your flowers. Second thing is keep an eye on that water level. Now, these flowers have drunk 8 glasses of water since I put them in here. So every morning I've been topping them up, and you can see that having that water, being able to pull it up easily, means that all of these buds are opening out. Just keeps them alive for so much longer. But it's so easy to underestimate quite how much water these kind of flowers will drink. So there we go. There's my tips. So, simplicity. Right. I run a kind of a coaching course, part coaching, part course, called Bloom. And in that we use my particular method of looking at aspects of life through lots and lots of different lenses. And I call it sort of the lunar lens system. And what is important for me is that I go through it alongside anybody who is doing Bloom. So it's something that I've done for the last 3 years. So in 2023, I looked at my life in this way and got much more freedom in the way that I can work. Last year, I was looking at my health and well-being and trying lots of different experiments, looking in different ways, forcing myself to stop using my chronic illness as a kind of an excuse for everything. And that transformed my health and my vibrancy and all kinds of very measurable things. And then this year, I am looking at ways to simplify my life. And this is the third month. First month, I looked at social media and I installed an app on my phone, I think it's called Zen Screen or Screen Zen, which basically just asks me if I'm sure I want to open a particular app. And that was enough to really stop me using things just for scrolling. And it got me back 90 minutes a day, which I have been able to use for things that I actually want to do, like reading or writing blogs or that kind of thing. And it has replaced this rather depressing scrolling, that search for dopamine, with something that is creative and much more energizing for me. Month 2, I looked at emails, how I'm doing it, systems. The Studio Club, which is my online creativity membership, really grew at the beginning of this year, and my email systems were not adequate at all. So at that point, I was running everything pretty much forwarded onto personal emails. So it's all been quite tedious work. I've been unsubscribing from lots and lots of shopping sites, and also getting things into categories, so I can be sure and confident that I am not missing emails from customers. This month, I thought that as I'm here in Naples and I'm staying in what is holiday accommodation, it would be a wonderful opportunity to see how I felt with a kind of a minimalist lifestyle. Now, I travelled here for a month with hand luggage only, so I have a really restricted number of things that I have brought with me from home. I have my work things, so that's kind of like my laptop and my mic and tripods and supplies for all of the tutorials that I'm filming. And that did not leave an awful lot of room. So I have a couple of dresses, so tights, knickers, a cardigan, and lipstick, nail polish, not very much at all. And then the flat, though it is beautifully, beautifully furnished, is a holiday flat. So it is very minimal. There are just the things that you would need if you were holidaying in Naples. And this has been really, really interesting, because there's been very few things that I have thought, right, I would want that so much, or I need that so much, I will go and buy it. I went and bought myself a big mug, and actually that may be it. I think because I do like a big mug for my cup of tea, not a espresso cup. And I have been really surprised by two things. Firstly, that I have no problem in living with very few things. I'm not spending my time wishing that I had X, Y, or Z from home. However, it brings me no joy. I have not experienced that feeling of it being easy to dress because you've got basically no decision to make. I have not found that having all of the extra space is freeing or lightening or anything. In fact, what terribly barky dog, what it has made me realize is that I take great joy in the things that I own, and that joy is it, it's allowable. It is something that I treasure in life. And the things that I have chosen to buy over the past, 40 years are things that I value and treasure, and that I wouldn't want to be without. So I actually enjoy deciding what I'm going to wear in the mornings. So halfway through week 2, and I decided that, minimalist lifestyle was not going to be for me. And I realized that I would have plenty of time to run another kind of experiment. And it occurred to me that what I really want to do, it's not clutter in my surroundings that I have a problem with, really. Though, as I say, it's often much messier than I would like. But it is clutter in my head. And particularly over the last few years, I have begun to get worried about my memory. And I think that there's a couple of reasons for this. And I think that, speaking to friends, I'm certainly not alone. One reason is I am beginning to see the parents of friends or family suffer with memory loss and dementia, Alzheimer's. My husband's mother had Alzheimer's. My mother-in-law probably had dementia for a lot longer than we thought, but certainly the last 4 years of her life were really very distressing for her. She couldn't remember many, many things. And I have lots of friends whose parents are in similar situations. And I think that every time now where, I walk into a room and I can't think what I was there for, or I can't remember the password for something, or the PIN code that they send you, or the name of a restaurant, or what film somebody's been in, all of these kinds of things, when it happens, there's this little flip of dread that maybe this is something serious. And like many people who have chronic fatigue symptoms as part of a autoimmune disease thing, there's an element of brain fog that tends to come with that anyway, and that I find it comes in the guise of, I think it's called dysphasia. It's where my brain sort of becomes colorblind, but between words. So if I'm tired, I'm doing too much, then my brain will just randomly select words that will not, and I will start not making any sense. So it will swap. Box and car seem to be things that it swaps quite often. So I'll say a sentence like, "Oh, I've left it in that box. I've left the box in the drive, and I'm in the car." Or umbrella and hat are other ones that go. And, there's lots and lots of these, but I find them very distressing. And for ages, it was one of the reasons that I would not do lives, because just the thought of that happening, doing lives or podcasts or whatever, I found just so embarrassing. But now, now I'm less worried about that, because it's a thing, and lots of people have it, and the more that we talk about it, the better it will be. This is my mantra on everything at the moment. So I have that kind of brain fog, and then I also have, if I am tired, I just stop being able to speak really at all. I become mute, and I can't answer very simple questions. Questions are become incredibly difficult. The where is the question, or even things like, what was the name of, or things that I definitely know, but that they have completely vanished. And I see myself just in this hole of not being able to remember anything. So I'm quite touchy about memory, and I have been feeling that my memory has been getting worse. So I thought maybe this would be a good thing to explore while I'm here. And at the same time, I just happened to listen to a podcast with the neuroscientist Wendy Suzuki, and she looks at memory, how memories are laid down, and then particularly how exercise could help prevent things like dementia. So she was on this podcast, and very early on, she addressed this idea of brain fog, midlife memory loss, perimenopause memory loss. And she said that it isn't actually the same as dementia, and it is caused by, she called it interference. So that whole idea of she said, you're just trying to remember too many things. And it's like an operating system, in a computer. You've got too many tabs open and it takes too much memory to process that. Then you get that whirring, buffering wheel of doom, and nothing seems to work. So that it's not actually anything that is wrong with your memory per se, it is that you have too much interference. And she talked about using mindfulness and meditation to try and stop that staticky interference, but also to use exercise, regular light aerobic exercise, to kind of boost the way that your operating system works so that you are able to process things better. So stop the amount that you're trying to process and increase your capacity. And by doing both of those together, you should experience some improvement in that brain foggy midlife, oh, I've just come into this room, why am I here kind of thing. So that is what I am experimenting with at the moment. And it will take a while. I'm thinking probably 6 weeks, and then I'll see whether I feel that there has been a change. So my experiment is I have completely got rid of anything scheduled in my days. I have, I think, 4 lives that I'm doing that have particular times. One of those is Bloom, a couple of things are for the studio club. But outside that, I have no schedule. So I'm getting up. When I wake up in the morning, I have time for meditation and mindfulness. I am putting in 3 decent-sized walks a day, which I am using to do some of my work. I'm using to process all of that stuff that I often have stuck in my head, writing articles, writing newsletters, all of that kind of thing. So I'm doing my walk then to somewhere that I can actually sit and write that down and get it out of my head. Just try and clear things. And then the walks I find are really mindful as well. So I am simplifying my days down to basic structures. I'm not trying to go and do lots of touristy things. I'm not catching up with friends. I'm not spending my time, watching movies on my laptop or anything like that. I'm just taking it right down to doing as little prescribed stuff as possible and seeing whether gradually my brain will just have less static in it, have less interference and be able to work a little bit more. So I'm also, let me see here, I've got my Apple Watch. I have programmed those activity rings, and that is all that I'm living my day by. That I want to close all those rings, which are programmed so that I will have this Wendy Suzuki's optimal kind of activity levels for me, and working on that very, very simple premise that my main goal, my main piece of work that I'm doing while I'm here for the next 2 weeks is just to keep that activity and do my work. So I think it'll be really interesting because I have never looked at it that way. I have always looked at, here I have all of these things that I need to do for work, my to-do list, and then I'll try and fit activity around it. And this is upending that and saying, here is the activity that you are doing. Do it in whichever way you want, and see how you can fit all of your commitments around that. And I don't think that I would be able to have done that at home. I think it's just being here in Naples, where nobody has any expectations of me. Nobody is here, and I can just set my days as long as I get things done, and as long as I am showing up for studio clubbers and bloomers and all of that. The actual sort of like how I do it is up to me. And as I say, don't think I'll know. I don't think I'll know for a few weeks. So my challenge is going to be to set this working while I'm here, and then take it back home and see how I can transfer it back to something where, there are other people around, and I can't be quite as self-centered in sorting out my days. So I shall let you know. I shall let you know in a couple of weeks' time how I'm getting on. And also with the whole simplicity thing. And I hope that that's raised some questions, and I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.